I'm here near Groesbeck in the reconstruction of the Parker Fort. Back in 1836, the Parker family moved from Illinois to Texas to settle here on the frontier. Elder John Parker and his three boys, Silas, James, and Benjamin, and their families built this fort, which you can see is a pretty good sized fort for their families to live in. And it was meant to give them protection against the Indians. They had settled over or nearly 100 miles from the nearest settlement. They were the white family that was the furthest out on the frontier of anybody in America. They were way out here with no one else to come help them. So they built a fort where they could defend themselves, and it might have done the job, except for the fact that things seemed to be going well, and on a nice spring day like today, in May of 1836, the men left the fort, the majority of the men, to go out to the fields and farm. And the fields were about a mile away, so they were not here in the fort, and the fort's gates, which were over here near that blockhouse, according to the Reconstruction, the gates were wide open. And 100 Comanches and maybe a few other Indians along with them that were out on a hunt rode up to the gate. There was no time to shut the gate. Benjamin Parker goes out to talk to the Indians to see what they want, and he's told that they want a little bit of beef, a place to camp, and to be given direction to some water, which according to one story, they were kind of wet from having just crossed the Navasota River, so right away it kind of gives you a clue that possibly they really weren't looking for those things. He went back into the fort, conferred with a couple of the other handful of men that were left here, and some of them thought they should fight, others thought they should try to escape. They told him not to go back out there, but he went back out there to buy a little time, and when he did, he was lanced, pinned to the ground, and brutally killed. We don't have to go into all the details, but it was brutal. While that was going on, the women and children tried to escape, and on the other side of the fort, back here, they were able to escape out the back gate, and a number of them made it to the woods. There were a few of them that were killed, 5 in all, and some of the women and children were captured. Eventually, the men from the fields made their way back to the fort, were able to rescue one more woman, and they also escaped into the woods. Eventually, the two separate parties of Parkers traveled all the way back to Fort Houston, which was near modern-day Palestine, and after a week of hardship, they made it back there to safety. Now, meanwhile, of those that were captured by the Comanches, little Cynthia Ann Parker, who was 9 years old, is going to be the most famous. She was captured at 9 years old after seeing family members killed and brutalized, being kidnapped herself, going through all those hardships, and drug off to a foreign culture. But she recovered from that. She assimilated into Comanche life and apparently was living a fairly happy life as an adult. She married a chief, Quannah, and up until 1860, as a Comanche, life was pretty good for her. But in 1860, she got to live the whole horrible disaster in reverse. Her camp was attacked by Texas Rangers. They attack the camp, kill her husband. She sees friends harmed. She herself gets separated from her 2 boys, and she and her little daughter, Prairie Flower, they're captured. And when the Rangers realize that she's got blue eyes, they realize she's not a native-born Comanche, and they manage to figure out she is the Cynthia Ann Parker captured so many years ago from this fort, and she was returned to her nearest members of the Parker family, where now that she's gone through all this horrible stuff again, she's thrust into a foreign culture. She never accepted being back in white America, and eventually she died, traditionally we say, of a broken heart, longing to be back with the Comanches and with her family. But if you get a chance to come to Groesbeck, check out this reconstruction. It's a pretty impressive reconstruction that gives you an idea what life would have been like on the frontier, and it's also symbolic of one of the horrible tragedies that happened again and again as cultures clashed in the Old West.